QR codes are silly simple. Just point your camera at a pixely square and boom, it just starts to open up a web page. All it is a simple shortcut. So what if I just told you this was another way to open up doors and add value to the products you're already creating? Today, I'm going to show you how I did this and why I did this for one of my recent product lines. And we'll take a look at if it's a useful thing for you to do for something that you're creating soon. Ready to go? Let's get started. So I just want to circle back to the fact that QR codes are really simple, right? You ready to try it now? Okay, so I'm going to throw up a QR code here on the screen. All you have to do, literally take out your camera, your phone, and open up the camera and point it at the QR code. That's it. There should be a little box that comes up that says, do you want to go to this link? It's a link to my TPT store. Feel free to follow it if you want to stay friends. But that's just how simple it is. It'll come up as an option and link you to another web page. Now, before we get into the technical aspects of that, I'm going to show you that in just a second. Let's think about why we might do this for our products. Think of it as a gift. It might not be necessary, but the more scaffolding we can give a teacher who purchases our products, the better. If we can help a teacher walk away from using our products and feel amazing about what just happened in their classroom, we have done our job and we may just have repeat customers. So let's think about why we're going to use this in the case of one of my products. So if somebody just wants a PDF that they're going to print out, cut up during recess, and use in 5 minutes when their kids come running back into the classroom, that's one thing. And our products can do that. The product that I'm going to show you today is a game. It's called I Have Who Has. So it's a card game. It focuses on vocabulary, and it could be used as simply an easy game, a time filler, or it can be used as something bigger. Let's imagine there's a teacher out there, and this actually happened, who is working with adults with disabilities. They are learning these life skills of the calendar, reading a calendar, being able to talk about the weather, being able to talk about the date. How can you do that in a respectful and helpful way in order to support these learners in what they're doing? How about another example? Learners in a Spanish classroom. They're taking on new vocabulary and they need a little bit of a visual representation. Research shows that pictures, photos are second best. If we can hold the thing in our hand, that's the best, but we can't hold January in our hands. You know what I mean? So if we can show real photos, realistic photos, then we're doing much better in terms of connecting and making those linguistic connections cognitively. If we've got these situations, we're going to need some sort of support so that they can then play the game with the cards, not just cutting them out, divvying them up, and playing. How can we do that? My solution was to come up with a presentation. I put together a simple Google Slides presentation with the vocabulary word nice and big and bold, and then two, three, four different photos that would represent this somewhat abstract concept in realistic ways. When we provide teachers and educators with these different resources, the game, the product expands beyond just a 5, 10, 15-minute round of I Have Who Has. It could be used to initially teach the vocab. That initial Google Slides presentation, which could be downloaded as a PowerPoint or something else, gets shown and is used to teach kids initially, show them, introduce them to all this new vocab. Then we can use it again while kids are actually playing. Perhaps a teacher is able to bring up different photos when a kid says, I have January. Oh, let's pull up January on the screen. Great. What do we see? We see snow. We see a New Year's celebration. We see a number 1 on the calendar. Maybe we see a calendar page. All of that points to January. It's solidifying that vocab. Then we can move on to other words. And again, that presentation is going to serve as a base for teachers to be able to support learners as they're playing. Again, this could be a whole class. So while the kid holding the card might understand the word, the kid in the back row who doesn't have that card and is barely paying attention might not. And so that presentation is going to be another support for them. Then you could have a third round. So we've gone for an initial teaching, a first round with scaffolding, and then if kids are doing really well with this, we could play without the presentation, just the cards, and see how they do. Pretty cool. This type of gamified practice is massive when it comes to helping our neurodivergent and our language learners. Now, we've gone through the why, but let's talk about how, because this can feel confusing at first and it can feel kind of twisty-turny, but once you got it down, it's really easy. So in my case, I was creating this card game. It's a PDF. You just print it out. It's super simple. I created these cards in Canva and then put them into a PDF form, put them together so that they were ready to print, and it's done. Very simple. That part is really easy. The next part would be to create the presentation that supports the vocab in those cards. In this case, I used Google Slides. It's web-based. It's a little bit easier to link here, and was able to add all those realistic photos. So I've got my slideshow. I'm going to then show you what this looks like on the screen. So I am going to go to my Google Slides presentation. I'm going to click share. I'm going to use anyone with the link because this link isn't going to get into the wrong hands, hopefully, but all it's going to be linked to is a QR code. Then I'm going to go to a QR code generator. Take that link from my Google Slides presentation, the share link, and put it into something like Bitly. I like Bitly, it's free. I use it to shorten links as well, and it's got a free QR code generator. I think you can use it for up to 50 links per month, which is more than enough for me. So throw that in there, choose your style. There's some like funsy changes. You can change the color, the style of pixels, stuff like that, and then export that QR code as a PNG or JPG, if whatever suits your needs. I like to do it as a PNG, a little higher quality. We want it to be nice and sharp because I'm going to use that in my instruction page. So I'm going to put that QR code on the instruction page in my product. Okay, after my terms of use, I've got the instructions. I'm going to use very clear instructions on there. A numbered list would probably be best in order to show people how to access all these different parts of the resource that they've just bought. Now, we do want them to use all of this, right? We don't want it to be so sneaky, this value to be so sneaky that they don't know what's in there, right? So we need to be very clear about that. So on the instruction page, we've got the QR code. It stays there and they've got access to it. So if they do need to pull it up, it's right there. It's not going to go anywhere. The next part is to then let people know about it. Where do we do that? In our previews, in our covers, in our product videos, if you're making them. All of these things are going to demonstrate what you can do with this added value that you're bringing to the product in the QR code. So in my case, it's a little tricky to explain this in a thumbnail, but what I've chosen to do is add a QR code. It just links to my TPT store, and people are able to then know, okay, it's got a QR something, there's some vocabulary involved, and it's going to support my language learners. Maybe I'll click on this and learn more. That's where they're going to get the full shebang, the whole explanation in my product description. Now, it's important to know that this does add value to your product. And I do feel like I can charge more for this because it's not just a printable PDF. I might charge $2 for those cards if it's just the cards, but it's not. I can charge, for example, $5 for each of these games, and then I can bundle them and have them be a much bigger product, a much bigger resource for these teachers that they can pick up, get used to using, and incorporate into their classrooms. So when you're evaluating how you're going to use QR codes, think about how you can extend the life, extend the usefulness of your product for the teacher that picks it up. Then it'll support a higher price if necessary. Your call on that. But for me, that's something that I have identified and it works. The proof is in the pudding. Now, does this sound like something you could use in order to gift teachers the feeling of feeling awesome after a lesson? If so, I would love to hear how you think you might be using QR codes in the future. If that's something that would support your products, it might not in a lot of cases, but in some cases, it definitely could. So I would love to hear that below. And if nobody's told you yet today, think through doing what you're doing. It's really important. Happy teaching.